Hello, hello, and welcome to another Phoenix Fitness Fanatics magazine featured business spotlight. We are taking center stage today with another contributing writer from the Own It platform as well. I'm going to go ahead and bring my sister on in. Good morning, Rochelle. How are you?
Good morning, Tiffany. How are you? I'm doing wonderful.
Oh, I am fantastic. I have been so excited to sit down with you and just chat with you about your business. Let me just share a little bit about Rochelle and her nonprofit, Toiletry and Company. So, a little bit about Rochelle. In 2015, Rochelle took a challenging life situation. She turned pain into an opportunity that created Toiletry and Company Inc. Faced with a challenging work situation caused Rochelle to take a mental health break from her day to day profession. Like most Americans, Rochelle depended on her regular paycheck. So the break from her job put a strain on her financial situation. She was fortunate to be able to lean on family and friends to help her out. She also knew that if her finances were depleted entirely, she could apply for public help support. So during this stressful financial time, Rochelle realized something that most people never have to think about. There's a ton of resources for food, energy assistance, medical care, and even housing for those who have fallen on hard times. But people rarely think of personal care items for those start um, who are in the start of Rochelle's oh, I lost it here. So with Toiletry and Company. So the things like toilet paper, the things like sanitary napkins, things like that. We don't think about those types of things that we need. We don't think about, the food resources that we need. Well, we may think about the food and maybe the medical that we get, right? But Rochelle, let's talk about just how, you got into this because we've spoken in the past a little bit about, your journey, and it started with workplace bullying. So let's talk about that a little bit. So, what is workplace bullying? Just explain to our audience today what workplace bullying is so they understand.
So, workplace bullying is not like the schoolyard bullying where somebody comes and pushes you and knocks you down into the dirt. It's more attack of your psychological, just your whole psychological being. So, it's a whole lot of gaslighting, passive
Mm,
aggressive behaviors, a lot of negativity that a person comes into your space when you're at work to kind of devalue all of your skills, aptitudes, and abilities. And if psychologically you cannot, get grounded and get firm, then it can take you under. It causes a lot of stress, health
mhm,
issues, just your whole mental capacity just falls apart, especially if you're a high performer, high performing employee. And typically that's the ones that they target
mhm.
because their goal is to make you feel like you're less than anything, like you're less, you can't do your job, anything that you do is not good enough. And mentally, probably for about 2 or 3 months, it really did psychologically, have me trapped to believe like, am I not good enough? Like I've worked,
Mm,
this was like the midpoint of my life. So I did
yeah.
everything I was supposed to do. I went to school, I got my master's degree, I applied for jobs, I got jobs, I did everything, I was receiving awards. So for
Right.
somebody in your mid career to tell you you're incompetent, do you know what you're doing? You don't know how to do this, that, and the other. Um, it's very psychologically challenging. And so that's when I decided just to take the mental health break because I knew that I had the skills, aptitudes, and abilities, but I couldn't function no longer in that workspace.
Wow. I commend you for taking the step to, step away from it because there's so
Mhm.
many people that just stay in the toxic situation and they'll stay until it gets to a point where now it's a medical issue.
Right.
You know, I will talk just from my own personal issue, of being in a very stressful work environment, having those people come in and just be very passive aggressive. They know that you're a certain way. They know you may like things a certain way in your office, but yet they come in, they sit down, they start moving things around. You wouldn't necessarily think that that would be someone that is picking on you. But yes, they are, because they know. If they already know that you have an issue with the way things are in your office, they shouldn't be coming into your office and moving things around and making you feel bad. But you're so right. Those top performers are tend to be the ones that get, ostracized a lot of times,
Right.
because you've got the other people that are in the environment that don't want to rise to the occasion. They don't want to be that high performer, so they want to keep you down, in the dumps with them, what
Right.
we'll say, right?
Right.
And
Right.
and that's so unfortunate. So tell us, like, how does it really start? Like, when you're in that situation, like, what are some of the things that just make this workplace bullying thing, just get created?
So it starts very silently. And so when it starts, is you're not really paying attention to it because your focus is, hey, I'm coming to work.
Mhm.
And I'm a person, I'm a people person. So I like to talk to people, but I always come to work and do my job. And it was little things like changing my task or adding additional task, or now instead of me being managed by one person, I'm being managed by two, and then two turns into three and three. So it's like little
Mm.
gradual steps that they do. It's not like they just kick the door open and just, start being mean or rude or nasty. It's like these little shifts of changes that happens over time, where when you look back, you're like puzzled, like, how did this all fit together? And I didn't pay attention,
Right.
because your goal is, I got this task, let me do this, I got this, let me do that. But meanwhile, behind the scenes, they're like changing little things gradually. And by the time you realize it, if you're not awake enough, then you're like spinning your tail. Like, I do my job, and like you're talking to people and they're looking at you like, what is she talking about? Like,
Right.
why is she just like all over the place? The one blessed thing that happened for me doing, I probably wouldn't have recognized it, but the one blessed thing that happened at the time, I was like working on classes towards my PhD, and they were saying like kind of gearing up for writing your dissertation, and I was interested in bullying in general,
Mhm.
and so I started researching workplace bullying. And as I started doing the research, I started reading, and I was like, hold up, this sounds like me. This sounds like what I'm going through. So
Yeah.
that's what actually helped me to understand it a little bit better and to be able to navigate the course that was about to come in front of me. The hard part is people will come to you and say, if I was you, I would say this to this person. Now, it's a federal agency. Um, and so it's not as easy as if it was like a nonprofit or, somewhere else where you can just like blast your mouth, walk away, and it never follows you, right?
Mhm.
Um, and so it wasn't as easy as me just saying, leave me alone, get on my face, don't bother me. It was like a well orchestrated machine. Like they knew everything that was going on.
Wow.
But what I had to understand is like, you just have to keep your grounding. You just have to stay focused, and you have to do whatever task just to, it's almost like just to meet this marathon. Like,
Mhm.
you cannot see me like fall off the ship, fall off the boat, fall in the water. Like, I have to keep my marathon. And so it comes very silently.
Wow. Wow. Now, really, there's a lot of people that are dealing with this in the workplace. What kind of signs can you share with our audience that they can, maybe help if they see it in the workplace? Is there any kind of signs that we can look at in our coworkers when, when they're going through the same thing that you were going through or I was going through, so we can maybe feel that, the support is there?
So the hard part about what I learned is that everybody is like their own man on their own island. So even though people, so one of the things that they're very just like they very keen in dividing people up. And so how I looked at it was like it was one puppeteer who was giving so many different puppets their task.
Mhm.
So even my coworkers probably at the beginning necessarily wouldn't have known what was going on, because if you've never seen it or understood it, you're just like, what are you talking about? Or maybe they just gave you another task to do because you finished this work. And I'm like, no, that's not what happened. And so you become into like this internal cyclone, like trying to figure it out. Who can I talk to? Who can I trust? Who would believe me? Who would understand what I'm going through? The other thing is that people are more concerned about themselves, so they're not going to get involved. So even when it came to the point where I had a better understanding what was going on, it always came back to me as the victim. Like, so what are you not doing? What are you coming to work on time? Did you take too much longer for lunch? And I'm looking at them like, what are you talking about? Like, I have stellar performance. Like everywhere I've been, I've had stellar performance. So why is this any different? And to try to explain that to people who at one point you just get to the point like they don't have your back because they're more concerned about if I get involved, am I going to lose my job? Or are they going to come targeting me? You know, whatever. But on the hindsight, they'll say, I wish you would have told me more. I would have helped. I would have did this. I'm like, how much more could I have told you?
Right.
Because they're not pushing you down. They're not like punching your face. It's psychological. So it's very silent.
Yeah. And it's very hard to prove.
Mm-hmm.
So we are going to cut to a quick commercial break, and then we're going to come back and talk about some of the mental things that you can do to overcome this whole situation. So we will be right back.
All right.
All right, and we are back with the Executive Director of Toiletry Co, Rochelle A. Campbell. Thank you so much. We're talking about workplace bullying right now, and just a little bit of what to look for. Now we're going to talk about some of the things that we can do to overcome this. So, Rochelle, what happens mentally when you're in this situation, and how do you overcome it? Because it's a lot. It gets very heavy in the office.
It gets extremely heavy. Again, like I said, most people put you in this posture where what have you done versus listening to what you have to say. And so the time that I took my leave of absence, I went to my physician and she gave me 3 criteria. She was like, I'll write you off of work if you go to see a therapist, need a report, I need you to go to a psychologist, and if you need medication, I need you to go to a psychiatrist. The blessed thing of it is that my background is actually counseling psychology. And so my master's is in psychotherapy. And so I have very impeccable coping skills because I already knew, like the whole platform, what to do, X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
But the problem was me trying to explain it to other people because even the professionals were looking at me like, what is this girl talking about? Like, so when I broke it down to them, and I even had to show them like previous evaluations, like here's, my stellar record. And this is from like companies from like 8, 9, 10 years ago. I don't know why I still had them, but I still had them. Probably because of my own kudos. But it got to a point where I just had to silence myself. And so my relationship with God strengthened. And one day I actually asked him, like, God, why is this happening to me? And I literally heard him say back to me, why not?
Wow.
And so he told me to take my own stuff off my mind and do for others. And so that's how I actually started Toiletries Company, because like I said, nobody had ever like really said, oh, well, here's a place you can go for toiletry items. And so when I was sitting at home, I would just like ask people when they travel, just, collect the hotel items. I'll package them. I'll find the people to give them to. And, that will give me some motivation to get my own self off my mind, as well as make sure other people, personal health and hygiene is intact. And so just one, I built my relationship with God and trusting in him more than I had trusted in him before. Because at the time I was a mother that was single, and it was just my son and I. And at the time, I was just like relying on my own, finances.
Yeah.
And God has showed up so many times for me during that time that I'm like, I would have to be crazy not to like literally just cast all my cares into God. Like people say it,
Won't he do it?
but when I did it, I was like, oh, this is what it means. You know what I mean? Like I literally was like, God, this is bigger than me. I can't deal with it. And so even though, I had gone through some battles or whatever, everywhere I went, I never ran out of food. I never ran out of toiletry items. My electric was never cut off. My cable, my phone, nothing was ever turned off.
Yes.
And so my relationship with God was the thing that I believe he wanted to, wake my spirit and
Yeah.
to give me like that confidence that everything that they said that you couldn't do, you have to improve, you can do it.
Yeah.
Trust in
Yeah.
me, you can do it. You got it.
That's
Because
right.
I was never out in my wildest dreams. I would never think that I would either write the anthology, the chapter in the anthology, or even be a contributing writer. Because I never felt like writing was my strongest, suit.
Yeah. Hmm.
But by me having a story, it became something that I enjoy doing now because now I can talk about my story and help other people along the way. And
That's
so just
right.
building my relationship with God, um, and then a lot of gospel music helped me through. One of my
Mm.
favorite songs during that
Music.
time
Yes.
was probably most of Marvin Sapp songs, but um, Whitney Houston. I didn't know my own strength. I
Mm.
listened to that song every day for weeks, for months, for years, because I didn't know my own strength. And I think this was something that really showed me, you're stronger than you believe.
Right.
With
Yeah.
God and your focus, you can get through anything. So
See, won't he do it? Right.
only do it right.
It's just having that faith in, in him first and then in your own abilities, because he's not going to put us out there and let us struggle.
Right,
Life's not supposed to be a struggle.
right,
So I'm so proud of you for, just stepping out on that faith.
right.
Something that you said as well, with your doctor, giving you those three things. A lot of people, when they hear therapy, oh, no, 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 oh, no, no. Therapy is one of the best things that you can go into to get through some of these things. Just getting it out,
Mm-hmm.
being able to have that sounding board is
Yeah.
everything. I mean, I was at that mental breaking point, and at being able to have, sometimes it's not going to be family, it's not going to be the friends, because they don't understand what you're going through. They're
Right.
just looking at the person who they have, just watched through the years, going through, whatever, and just getting through things and never really letting things bother them. But then when you get to that breaking,
Mm-hmm.
those people just don't understand. So, everybody out there, if you're in a situation where you're feeling that anxiety, because that anxiety will turn into depression, and it'll take you down into a very dark space if
Mm-hmm.
you don't just find someone to speak to. And even after speaking to that person, if you need some type of medication, it's okay
Right.
to be on that medication. I myself, I can't stand medication, but guess what? When I was in that situation and they told me, let's just give you a little bit of something
Mm-hmm.
to take the edge off.
Right.
And that did everything for me. That stopped the, waking up in the middle of the night crying. That stopped even just, everyday things, you're doing, and all of a sudden you just want to fall apart. That really helped me with that. So, it just, I love that she gave you those three things, because those three things are vital right
Mm-hmm.
there, to take care of that, making those, just taking care of that for yourself. So I, sis, just thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
So, what can people do to get involved with Toiletry and Company? Because I know you said that you had people, that were sending you, when they go to the hotels and they've got the little things they're sending you, those types of things. How else can people get involved with helping you on your mission to bring toiletries to the world?
So we are an agency that functions all year round. So we don't just do Thanksgiving and Christmas or just one. We function all year round. In my local community, we actually have toiletry closets for 4 schools because it's a great need for, individuals, not just for their personal hygiene, but even just for their self-esteem.
Yeah.
So we've partnered with two elementaries, one middle school and one high school, and we provide everything from soap to sanitary napkins. We also, do community work. We do a lot of work throughout our community, but also throughout the world. So one of a trusted friend is from Sierra Leone, Africa, and we collect and just make sure that when he goes back home, we have things for him to take home with him. So a lot of times people they'll either donate through Cash App. We actually have an Amazon Smile, which I love. So we have like an Amazon store, and people can go on when they're shopping for their regular Amazon, go into our Smile store, purchase some soap or sanitary napkins, lotions, toothpaste, deodorant, whatever they want to purchase. I never tell people I need like $1,000 worth of things. It can be from $5 to 500 million, but as long as we can help one person, we've helped one person with their personal hygiene and their mental health. Um, so the Amazon Smile store, um, and then if people like in there, because we're located in Maryland, I meet up with people. We actually just had a fundraiser last night and it really turned out well. We just asked people to bring donations of toiletry items, and a lot of people stopped by. So it was really a really good event. So that's what we do all year round. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, I love it. So, what did, going through this situation and, dealing with what you dealt with at work and, starting your nonprofit, what have you learned from this whole experience?
So, like I said, my favorite song at the time, and I still listen to it periodically, is Whitney Houston's "I Didn't Know My Own Strength," and just unleashing my strength, being a part of the contributing writer platform, just gleaning from all of the professionals and everything that you all provide. It just gives me like that comfort to know that I have a voice somewhere and I can use it. But just having like the strength to understand that even though you go through things, your job is to either train somebody else that's coming behind you or do better moving forward, or both, all at the same time. So I've been able to really help people or identify when people are going through bullying at work, because unfortunately as adults, we don't necessarily want to say somebody's bullying me. You get
Right.
kind of defensive, like, I'm strong, I'm a good worker, you get
Yeah.
kind of defensive. And I'm like, no, well, you told me this, that, and the other. It sounds like you're being, targeted. And
Right.
so it might take them another week or two or a month when it's just overwhelming. And then they'll
Hmm.
come back and say, you know what, you were right. I feel like I'm being targeted.
Yeah.
And so me being able to help identify and help people through the situation, even to navigate, hey, here are your next steps, what you should do, how you should handle it, has been very beneficial. And of course, starting a nonprofit has been like a really like rewarding. Even if I don't do something every single day, every time I touch somebody, it's just really rewarding.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Awesome. So you've got your first book that you participated in, Women Inspiring Nations. That was presented by Dr. Cheryl Wood. So
Hmm.
tell us a little bit about that.
So that was a really good book for me to really understand how bullying, in a storytelling way, how bullying really affects people. And so I use the analogy of being in an ocean and just feeling like I just couldn't get my footing in the middle of an ocean and sharks was around me. Just for people to actually see in their mind as they're reading it, like, oh my gosh, like I wouldn't have pictured it like that. Like I literally had people just chomping at me every single day for months and months on end. But that book really helped me to like solidify. So I didn't have to keep explaining to people what I went through, because the stories that you go through are so broad that you can't just start and say, this happened, this happened. It's like this happened, then that happened, and then this happened, and then. And so when I wrote the story and people said, well, how's it going? I know you had a challenging time at work. I'm like, purchase the book, read the story. That way people can have a better understanding of what bullying looks like from the victim. And they'll be able to understand, like, oh, this is what went on. I can't tell you all the stories that went on. I couldn't even, remember everything. But what I can show you is how it felt, what it looked like, and how I overcame it. So that book really helped with that. And the title of that particular chapter was The Silent Killer, Workplace Bullying.
Ooh, the silent killer. And that's right. Okay.
Yeah.
Because it's going to raise your blood pressure
Yep.
and it's going to have you, again, mental breakdowns, depression. You have the workplace violence, when
Mm-hmm.
you have people coming back because of their situation, and it's
Right.
not a good situation when they come back, because now they're coming back to hurt someone. They've hit that breaking point.
Right.
So, wow. So do you have any words of encouragement or inspiration that you want to share with our audience today?
So my words of encouragement is anytime that you go through a challenging situation in your life, learn the lessons. Because once you learn the lessons and you get past that lesson, then that's your time to grow and to blossom. But if you have to keep going back to that lesson, then you're just going to stay stagnant. So again, I learned the lesson and I learned what God was trying to tell me is to have faith in him and to have faith in myself. And from that, I've been able to, continuously to push forward.
And how can our audience get in touch with you if they want to work with you, if they want to contribute to Toiletry and Company or and Co? How can they get in touch with you?
So through our website at www. No, yeah, www.toiletryandco.org. And I just want to
Awesome.
thank you so much, Tiffany, for having me, and thank you for featuring me in the Phoenix magazine. I think it's
Yes.
been like the last couple of months. So I really
Yep.
appreciate that. Yep.
Oh, of course,
Thank
of
you
course.
so
I
much.
love what you're doing. And again, I really just I resonate with, the workplace bullying and just your story as well. Just as, myself going through some of those, situations in corporate. I don't think I'll ever miss corporate again.
Right.
So and I will continue to have you in our magazine. And as you have new things coming up, definitely we will be coming live again, and you all will be able to see Rochelle and I in the Own It anthology as well. That is going to be coming out here very shortly. So
Yep.
you will hear yet another story from Rochelle about her amazing journey. So thank you so much, Rochelle, for joining
Thank
us today.
you.
This has been an awesome interview. And just, I love your story. I love your passion. And I'm going to actually get this book as well, this Women Inspiring Nations book as well. So thank you for that.
Thank
Everyone, have
you.
an amazing day. Have a wonderful Wednesday. And we will definitely catch you next time. Take care.